right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No Laying Up Live show, presented, as always, by High Noon. Neil here, May 19th, Sunday recap of the 2024 PGA Championship week. Xander Schauffele is your wire-to-wire winner at Valhalla. Elsewhere in the golf world, Nelly Korda wins at the Mizuho Americas Open by 1 over Hannah Green at Liberty National, her 6th win in 7 starts. Harry Higgs wins the first playoff hole at the Advent Health Championship to take the Korn Ferry event. I believe that was in Kansas City. TC, is that correct?
It was Kansas City, Missouri.
Love that. And Fiona Zhu wins by 7 at the Copper Rock Championship in Hurricane, Utah. Big wins all around the golf world today. And you know what else is big, fellas? The cans. That's right. High Noon just got a whole lot bigger with the High Noon Big Cans, now available in vodka, seltzer, peach, and pineapple, and the all-new tequila seltzer lime big can. These cans are reclosable. Remember that. Grab one and get out in the sun with a reclosable lid that allows you to sip at your own pace. They are perfect for a day on the beach or out on the greens. You can find them at your nearest convenience store in the single-serve beer or hard seltzer section. And remember, the High Noon pool packs are only here for the summer, so now's the time to enjoy lime, peach, and 2 limited edition flavors, guava and kiwi. As always, High Noon Pool Pack is made with real vodka and real juice, has 100 calories, and is gluten-free with no added sugar. Visit highnoonspirits.com to find it near you tonight. Joined by Chris Solomon down in Jack's Beach. Solly, what's happening?
Just excited to bring some important context to the show tonight, and there's just so much to talk about. And I don't know why I'm kind of beaming. I'm weirdly happy for Xander, and I don't think that's going to be a popular take, but I have to trust my gut here. I'm excited to talk about it.
I love it. We've got Randy calling in from Denver. Big man, how we feeling?
We're good. We're here tonight so we don't get fined.
Hell yes. And TC, he got a little rest last night. We're bringing him back in. He sounds like he went to the Global Home for a fantastic dinner last night. TC, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's been a really bad day. I poured an entire cup of coffee on my computer today and had to go get a new one. So, but great dinner last night at TPC Sawgrass. I gotta commend them. It's one of the best duck dishes I've ever had. So,
well, before we get into all the glorious madness today and this week, I do want to give a shout out to Titleist. Our show is also brought to you by Titleist and the new Vokey Design SM10 wedges. Every week on the PGA Tour, more of the world's best players have Vokey wedges in the bag. This week at Valhalla, half of the gap, sand, and lob wedges in play were Vokeys. That includes the SM10 56-degree S grind and 60-degree low bounce K grind wedges that were in the champion's bag. There are 3 main keys to great wedge play, and the new SM10 wedges have been designed to improve performance in each area. Number 1, shot versatility. Your swing is unique and requires the right tools. With 6 tour-proven grinds, SM10 allows you to find your ideal setup of grinds to provide flawless contact and maximum versatility for everything the course demands. Number 2, distance and trajectory control. Solly, I know you love that. SM10 delivers a lower, more consistent flight to give you even more control with your approach play. And key number 3, maximum spin. Randy, I know this gets you going. Every SM10 groove is cut to the edge with Vokey patented spin milled groove cutting process to provide a score line that delivers higher, more consistent spin wedge after wedge. Nothing does more to sharpen your short game like a fresh set of wedges that have been fit to your needs. Find your nearest Vokey fitter or use the online wedge selector tool to unlock the right SM10s for your game at Vokey.com. Gentlemen, shall we get to the, you know what? This is unprepared. I'm going to go around the horn before we get to a quick summary. You can give me 1 to 4 words to sum up today. Who wants to go first?
can't spring this on us.
I can't. All right. Well, then we'll do
Sully,
it after.
Go ahead. No,
Let me
Solly
hit
wants
you.
to
I'll
go.
hit you with a summary.
I'll do it. So simultaneously dull and exciting.
I love that. I think that's very fair. TC, Randy, why don't you guys think on it? I'll give you a quick summary of the day's events, and maybe that'll help spark some.
I got one, Neil. I got one.
Hit me.
Plus grand garçon Alexander. Very big boy Alexander. You know,
You've been doing your Duolingo, Randy.
Yeah, I've shit on him. I've called him a little boy, but not today. I'm gonna own that right from the top. We can get into it later. I tip my hat to Xander. He got it done today.
That's so
Neil,
big of you. That's so big of you. Gosh.
I got one. X gave it to me.
There we go. See, I knew you guys would come up with something.
And everybody else gave it to X.
Fair enough. All right, quick summary. I'm going to try to hit this like Chris Berman. We start the day with Xander and Colin tied for the lead at -15.
So you said he was wire to wire, which he really wasn't true wire to wire.
I would say it was, well, okay, fair enough. But you're already interrupting my flow here, TC. Come on. Xander fires a bogey-free 31 on the front to get to 19 under, while Colin turns into Greg Parman and stays at -15, going out with 9 straight pars. That will be a theme through the back 9 as well. The Hovland DeChambeau group charges through the front 9 and both shoot a front 9 32. Bryson hits one of the shots of the week with a 6-iron from 243 into the 10th green, walks away with a 2-putt birdie and a tie for second. Hovland birdies 12 to get to 18 under, while Xander makes a sloppy bogey on 10, trying to hit the fairway wood on his second shot. That was his second easiest hole as well. So he walks off there with bogey. He bounces back with birdies on 11 and 12. Meanwhile, Team Rose is climbing the leaderboard to get to -16, something we were monitoring at the time, but turned out to be not a threat.
Let's zoom past the Team Rose updates here. I think
of course, I got my notes going down here. So Vic pours in a birdie. Vic pours in a bogey at Funtasia, which is the 13th hole, to get to 19 under and take the solo lead, with Bryson answering to get to 18 under. And then Xander bounces back from the bogey. Like I said, he gets back to 19 under. So we're tied. Xander birdies the 12th to get to 20 under, while Vic misses a good birdie look on 15. Bryson hangs tough with a good up and down on 14 and 15 to stay within striking distance at 18 under. Xander plays it safe on 13 with a wedge in hand. I don't know if that was, he kind of missed it left there. He seemed to have the lefts in play throughout the back 9. But he misses 13, so he comfy 4. Bryson makes a fantastic 4 call and gets a great bounce out of the trees. He goes on to stuff the pinata and birdie 16. Xander makes a solid but conservative pars on 14, 15, and 16, while Bryson and Victor par 17, with Vic missing a good chance at birdie. So we have Xander out front at -20 and Vic and Bryson tied at 19 under. Bryson puts it in the left fairway bunker on 18. Vic's drive comes to rest in the first cut. Victor hits it right of the green, Bryson on the left. Bryson gets up and down, just wishes a birdie in to get to 20 under. God, Vic goes on to 3-putt 18 to drop to 18 under, where he finishes. Bogey free 64 for the medium golfer. Great round of golf for Bryson. Back on 17, Xander catches the fairway bunker, skies a 9-9 right of the green, and has a simple up and down for par. Solly, I know you love that.
At Valhalla? No way.
That's I figure I get a rise out of you on that one. So he arrives at the 18th tee, tied with Bryson at 20 under. Tee shot comes up just short of the fairway bunker, but his feet are in the bunker with the ball above his feet. He hits a 4-iron, great shot there, just left of the green, chips up to about 6 feet, makes the putt. At first, I thought it was, not dead center, but it didn't look that dramatic. You saw the replay. Putt went about 270 degrees around the hole. Doesn't matter. Xander Schauffele is your 2024 PGA champion, finishing at -21 and setting the record for lowest 4-round total in a major. Bryson is second at 20 under. Vic is third at 18 under. Thomas Dietrich and Colin Morikawa are T4 at -15. Shane Lowry and Justin Rose finished T6 at -14. Big Bob McIntyre, Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, and Billy Horschel, T10 at -13. So, gentlemen, let's go around the horn. TC, I'll start with you. What does Xander winning, what does this do for you? You can take that any direction you want, my man.
I'm not going to take it any direction. It does literally nothing for me. It just, I feel nothing. It feels like he won the WGC NEC Invitational or whatever, the one at Firestone. Like and I don't mean like, I don't think Xander's a bad guy. Maybe it's a character flaw. He's like best friends with Cantlay, but I've been watching Xander play great golf for the last 3-4 years. I haven't felt anything at any point during that 3 or 4 years.
I can pick up off that, and that I was surprised that I did feel something. I don't enjoy watching him fail. Like I don't enjoy watching him like kind of go through the turmoil of all the close calls that he's had. And I feel like I've kind of quietly not like beating my chest, but I've been riding for Xander for a fair amount of the last several years. I'm just like, you guys been slagging him just a little bit too hard. He gets himself in contention all the time. This is going to happen at some point. We called it out on Sunday before the week. We called it on Monday. We called it on Wednesday of like, hey, if it's going to happen, it's probably going to be on a course like this and a setup like this with him playing like this. And he got it done, man. I mean, I have serious issues with Valhalla that we will wait until the later part of the show. I don't, want to put an asterisk on this win. We said this again on Wednesday. I was like, dude, this is spread eagle wide open for somebody to go grab their major that would not maybe be able to win one on a harder setup. And he went out and did it, man. I mean, there were several moments that could have gone a different way. Final round 65. I mean, that gained over 4 shots on the field. That was like an elite slam the door, final pairing performance in a major with the trophy on the line. He did it. Got away with murder in the process.
Which just makes
like
it feel cheap.
Guys, I know it does, but man,
right?
he got the trophy and he did it. And I don't know. I'm happy for him, excited for him. And that was a fun finish. Randy?
Yeah, I actually have to echo a lot of what you said. Listen, at the start of the week, I was having a good time with the stat, of all the guys in the field. Him, Finau, and Ricky had the most top 10s in majors without a win. I enjoyed making jokes. I enjoyed having Xander in those guys' company, but he's not anymore. And he went and got it. He did it from the final group. I know the setup wasn't great. I didn't love the setup, but it was the same for everybody. And he went out and shot 65 and won a major. And I will say, I'm really curious if this is going to unleash him, free him in other majors. That's one of my favorite things. When anybody wins their first major, it's like, what's that going to do? This is a guy who's put himself, as Solly said, in contention many times at big tournaments. And if he peels off another 1 or 2 in relatively short order, then even though he's not my favorite golfer, it's going to become relevant and impossible for us to ignore. He's asserting himself as one of the best players of his generation. He's not the best player of his generation, but this is a big step, an important step for his career. And I am not going to shit on the guy. You win a major, no more jokes I can make. He's not Tony. He's not Ricky. This was a job well done today by Xander.
And I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying it didn't do anything for me. Right.
Sure.
This is how I feel.
Question.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair. I would
quickly,
ahead,
if I could say also, this was a win for the data, right? This is a win for the math of saying like, dude, put yourself in contention a bunch. Like it's going to fall your way at some point. Like it just will. There's a difference in kind of just the one hit wonders that pop up in major leaderboards and the dudes that like, yeah, this is the solving of a math equation. Like you do it 7 times, like it's bound to fall your way one time. Right. And you're bound to like deliver the performance that's going to get you the trophy. It felt like literally on razor's edge, on the edge of a cup for a ball to fall in. Like every one of those has lipped out for Xander when he's had the moment like for that big putt. Right. Every single one of those. It really did try to, but it did not miss the hole. And
Solly,
it happened.
That's because there's not a single putt on this entire course that is outside the hole. They're all fucking straight. It's crazy.
We're saving the course takes. We're saving
it. TC. I would say, Solly, you said he slammed the door. I would say he shut the door quietly.
Yeah.
The door is closed. And so,
sleeping baby in there, Neil. Sleeping baby.
I would say the door is certainly closed and he's locked it. It's great, but it was closed. Turned the handle very, very quietly. What I noticed when he made that putt, it was relief. A lot of times guys win and it's joy, it's excitement. It was total relief to me in his emotions. Another thing that stuck out to me, it felt like a lot of, and you hear this, it feels like a lot of guys really like Xander on tour. Like a lot of people there to say congratulations all the way from the green to the scoring tent. And I always like to see that. I feel like you want to root for, guys on tour that people like and we know some of the guys out there. So when they're like, no, Xander's a great guy, like I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm very much happy for him. And he did what he had to do coming down the stretch. So, hats off to him. 2024 PGA champion. So I'm going to send this one back to you. Who do you think let this one get away most from the guys chasing Xander?
I don't really know if anyone gave it away. I don't know if I would classify anything as that, but if I had to answer that, I would say Vic, just because of the looks that he had on the 16th hole, a putt that did not get to the hole with a good look at it, and on 17 also had a really, really good look at a putt from 10 feet that did not go in, and then 18 had a look as well to get into what maybe looked like it would have been a playoff. The putt that he missed coming back literally meant nothing. He stayed in third place no matter what. But 3 decent looks on those last few holes. He also had a short birdie putt on 4 that he either pulled or badly misread. That would have, he birdied the next 3 holes after that, and that would have been 4 in a row. Like he was pretty close to delivering the performance, but he'll look back on a few putts that either didn't give a great effort or just barely missed is the closest thing I could say to giving away. I wouldn't classify it as giving away. This was Xander's. I mean, I don't know if Xander ever went to plus odds on the entire back 9. I think he was odds on being a couple holes behind them and pretty much in control of things ever since that weird bogey on 10.
TC?
Yeah, I mean, Vic and Bryson, obviously the closest. I think Colin, to play the first 17 holes in 1 over and not make a birdie, like you got to do better than that, man. Especially with how good he was hitting it yesterday.
God, I was rooting so hard for him to par all 18 holes. That would have been such an indictment on your boy, Randy. Just couldn't get it.
Update. Stay tuned for an update on that. Is
Sure.
he still my boy?
Oh, wow.
Randy's talked to his broker. Might be making some trades.
We're doing some tax loss harvesting. I am selling low again on Colin. What an abysmal. Yeah, you want to talk about guys that let this get away. Like on a day, peruse the final page of the leaderboard. Everybody's in red, and their Colin is at even par, playing out of the last group today. Like it's a big missed opportunity. It's got to be disappointing on the heels of a poor final round at Augusta. And honestly, I forget who said it last night. Or maybe it was on the telecast. Colin's 4th round scoring average this year, especially of late, has not been good. So I would look squarely at him as the guy that kind of let things get away.
Something else I found interesting today was a lot of when I was trying to think of defining moments, a lot of the ones I'm going to remember are Bryson, and he's not going to win. Solly, what are your thoughts on Bryson today? What'd you see out of him? What are we going to see out of him in the future?
It was to a phrase that we've used a lot this week, but he was totally had his ears pinned back. I mean, that drive on 17 when he was just vibing his face off, he pull hooks one into the trees on 16. Andrew Waterman threw it back into the fairway, and he hit just a ridiculous, maybe the most flush golf shot I've ever seen a human hit. Probably 6-iron from 230 or whatever it was.
Sick.
And absolutely stuffed it, and he pimp stepped it. It was awesome. Made the birdie. Disappointing wedge after the crush drive on 17, but it was just if he would have played 18 more holes today, he would have shot 58. I really do think it. He would have just absolutely filled it up. He just got into a complete flow, and it was fun to watch. It's weird to just feel those kind of that kind of excitement with Bryson hunting somebody down on the leaderboard and hitting really, really exciting golf shots. You got to give him a lot of credit, man. I mean, he was top 5 at Oak Hill last year. Top 5 to T6, I think, at the Masters this year, and runner up by 1 shot here, in a track meet, 2-3 very different setups over the last 5 majors. Like, I definitely can call into question some LIV guys' performances in majors over the last couple of years, but Bryson has been a guy that has completely bucked the trend of, his game was kind of in shambles when he left for LIV, and he showed up on the biggest stages and balled out. And it's entertaining. It's great for golf. Like, you don't even have to like him to just have been entertained by what went down today and what he brings to the table.
Solly, that's where I'm at. I said it during the Masters. I was like, yes, he's a moron. He's a lunatic, but he's also a showman. And I love having him back. I had so much fun watching him, just all of his antics and all of his and he seems like genuinely less of a dickhead now too. Like, I don't know what's happened or where the dose of reality or perspective came from, but he seems a lot more just self-aware and like a real human being now. So, which is refreshing.
And that, let's not eliminate the idea that that dickhead is still in there, right?
He's
on a good
still
run.
in there.
He's in a good run right now. It could come back out at any moment, but I do echo that sentiment of he seems pretty comfortable in his own skin.
Seems to
Like,
be some
like
maturity
I was
there.
rooting for him today.
Yeah.
Like that's,
I mean,
and
when
that
that
for
putt
me
went
is
in
like,
on 18, it was like
Yeah.
I was like I almost made the same move he did, raising off the couch, with both arms up and
I mean,
just
Bryson's
wishing it
been
in.
one of my least favorite athletes of the last 10 years, and I'm rooting for him over Xander. And I don't know why. I don't know, but that's just how I felt, right?
I think TC. I think sports golf. It's all about you just want people that make you feel
I
something.
want to feel something,
right?
Yeah.
And further than that, like it's fun to see guys have a presence in the moment and show like how much this means to them. Like you can't help but kind of be attracted to that as a fan. And I'm with you guys. I give Bryson all the credit for bringing me into that through his presence, through his action. Solly, I think Bryson's the guy that like LIV is probably best suited for, right? He can go over there and he can do the YouTube stuff and he can just be as weird and as himself as he wants to be. And I'm not sure if you can say that about everybody that's made the switch, but at least for him, it's like, man, he seems like he's in a really good place.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, speaking of feeling things, we'll get a sense of what was on the ground. We're going to bring in our first guest of the night. Cody, we're going to queue up our very own Kevin Van Valkenburg, who is on site, flew in this morning to Louisville, Kentucky. KVV, how we feeling?
Was that right?
Louisville?
Louisville.
The people are talking, Neil, about your pronunciations. They're good with it here. All right. Everybody's
Okay.
happy. They're calling out from the crowd, being like, tell Neil he's all right with me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Big,
Fuck
strong man
TC.
doing in Louisville telling me I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
Doing a
Bourbon
fantastic
in their
job,
bourbon in their
Randy.
cups. Yeah. Tears in their eyes.
Yeah. KVV, tell us about your day. How was the experience out there?
It was fun. It was hot. I'll tell you what, my sunscreen helped a ton. Made sure to lather up multiple times with that. But I did the swoop in plan. I just showed up here about 1 o'clock. Basically just was like, shook some hands like a presidential candidate, and then just started chasing after the stories of the day. I walked the front nine with Xander and Colin. And I'll tell you right now, the front nine here, really kind of stinky. Not great.
The back nine.
Back nine more fun. Yeah, back nine more fun. I walked with Bryson and Vic for most of that. Watched a teeny bit of Rory just to sort of try to take his temperature, but glad I came. You know what? I'm been the biggest Xander fan, but I feel like at least he got pushed. I said, I think earlier in the pod, that he would win a major only if nobody pushed him, and he kind of proved me wrong there. So I think he deserves some credit on that.
Definitely. And you got maybe the pick of the day. Cody, if you want to bring up Bryson's celebration on 18, KVV looked like you were behind the 18th green when Bryson willed that putt in. How should we be thinking about Bryson after this? What are your thoughts there?
I think that, by the way, I'm going to give credit to Jordan Perez, because she was like, it'd be really fun today is if you just went around and took a bunch of pictures for the NLU Instagram. And so I just basically was like, all right, I'm going to snap as many pics as I can, and was right by Bryson, kind of all the back ninth, get to see some fun celebrations. And you know what? The truth is that majors are just way more fun when he's involved. Like, you get to see him do like some superhero stuff. You get to see some pretty darn good fist pumps for golfers, and you get to see just exciting, fun golf. People out here were going crazy for him. I cannot tell you how much the fans wanted him to win more than they did Xander.
So it was noticeable. The crowds were rooting for the medium golfer.
They very much were. Bryson has won over a lot of people, whether it's the online stuff. I mean, you might remember years ago, I covered the sort of match at the end of the BMW between, Patty Ice and Bryson. I cannot tell you how that day, how anti-Bryson the fans were that day, and how that would never happen today. There would be no scenario where people were cheering for Patrick Cantlay the way that they were that day, and sort of booing Bryson like they were.
He's doing stuff online, man. People love his online presence.
Well,
you know what, TC? He cited that in his post-round interview, as he's been doing a little bit recently. He said, it's really helped me to be able to do some creative content online to recharge myself, to do the YouTube stuff. I feel like it gets me refreshed. And so he can come to these tournaments and really, empty the tank, and then he can go back and fill it up by doing content online.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Good for him.
Same.
That's fantastic.
Same.
Well,
Same.
around the horn, what do you guys think? If that goes to a playoff, Bryson versus Xander, who you got in the playoff?
I would have been on Bryson. I'd have been on Bryson. Yeah, that was Xander's shot was right there on that putt, and he took it.
Yeah. And it would have been a 3-hole playoff, correct, Solly?
13, 17, and 18. Yeah.
Man, maybe that's what I was rooting for, because I found myself being like, I hate to say it. I picked Xander last night. I'm like, I wanted to break through. I want to strengthen the field chasing Scotty, but then it comes down to it. And Randy, like talking about your like the gut instinct. You're like, oh man, what if he misses? We get, bonus golf and Bryson's back in it. It's like, you can't ignore those feelings. It's tough.
When I took that pick, he was just hammering balls. I mean, like 200-mile-an-hour ball speed for like a good 15 minutes just to sort of get his nerves through it, as he kept sneaking up glances. And I got a little video of him he finally stopped and watched Xander roll in that last putt. And he was super gracious about it. He made a specific thing to go find Xander and shake his hand and say congrats. And congratulated him in his interview afterwards. Like, yeah, exactly. The guy on the airplane. No, he was fun. I got to give all credit to Bryson for making this at least exciting, because Vic kind of shrunk a little bit there in the last sec, and Bryson at least rose to the challenge.
KV, what do you chalk up Bryson's like evolution or shift to? Like, is there something that he's talked about, like aside from the YouTube stuff? Because even just in talking to the media, he was always super prickly, misunderstood, whatever you want to call it. And now it seems like he's almost embraced it more too. So
outwardly, I would say the religion stuff that he has sort of, been more outspoken about has probably helped him a little bit. He's definitely brought that up a lot. And in a way that, you can decide how you want to feel about it one or another. I think his dad's passing, which he's hinted at a few times. He hasn't, really kind of, he's said a few times, I've had a really difficult year. I've been through a lot, and people don't really know like what I've gone through. And obviously his dad passed away not that long ago and stuff. And so I think that has kind of, I would say that's probably helped him mellow in some ways. I do think just he's not quite as like full of, his grievances aren't quite as outward as they once were. He's found this community of YouTube people or TikTok people who's kind of really love him. And I've always said what Bryson wants most is to be loved. I think it's fascinating if you think of a alternate universe where guys on the PGA Tour, instead of like pushing him away, like put their arms around him and were like, hey, we would love to have you like be on our side in this live stuff. I think he would probably be like, there's a real scenario where you could see him being like the biggest PGA Tour advocate, like basically like, no guys, like this is real golf. This is what matters. This is our thing. And it makes me laugh sometimes to think about like, that's the alternate universe of Bryson. Cause he just wants to be like enjoyed by people who he's peers with. That's always really wanted for a long time.
Even when he's spitting in those people's face,
he sued these guys. Let's not absolve Bryson
he's
of his
still
sins.
A piece of shit. Like he's an absolute piece of shit. And
I'm just telling you what I think what he's always wanted. I mean, he said he didn't have many friends as a kid. He was different. He was weird, and that's why people sort of felt like that's why his mom always told him that he was never going to be accepted. And I think he's socially awkward. He didn't know how to handle that stuff. And he's learned over time to be a little bit more at ease with who he is.
God, TC's gone from I'm all in on Bryson.
I didn't say I was all in. I just said he makes me feel something.
In 29 minutes and 55 seconds. All right, well, let's give one more for you here, KBV. I know you're going to be writing a gamer kind of a look back on the 2024 PGA Championship. So I guess it's two parts. Why is he able to break through? Was it because the course was easy and it was a turkey shoot? And then follow up to that is like, what are we going to remember when we look back on this event?
I think he was able to break through because he, for whatever reason, like I think sports psychologists sort of tell you this stuff. It's that whole like control what you can control, and it sounds stupid and cliche, and it's not really make for good media stuff. But that's why he was able to think about like, I can compete this week, even though he got absolutely dusted last week. He's not a person who was, internalized a lot of that criticism. He's tried to very much be offline in those kind of things. And the truth is, I talked to Chris Como a little bit as coach. He just got better. He got faster. He added more speed. He went through swing changes. He still was able to sort of compete in this stuff. And if you knock on the door enough times, you're going to find you're going to find a way to break through. I don't think Xander's like a 4 major guy, but like he's talented enough. And that's why I think this happened, that he just put himself in the mix enough times where the cards fell his way.
To that point, he was getting interviewed after his round yesterday, and somebody was asking him a question about, what would a win mean? What would a win mean? And his answer was just like, he was kind of getting dragged for this answer on Twitter. It was like, that's a result. You're talking about a result, right? Like that's different than like the process. And when he was asked again about it, he's like, yeah, but this result's different. He's like, no, again, like you're talking about a final result. Like the way to get that is through a process, right? And that I found that interesting. Of course he went to bed last night thinking about the result of trying to win one, but like the path to doing that, the path to overcoming like obvious issues he's had in closing these tournaments was like, no, this is going to be about the process. It's going to be about the process. And like viewing it all, his whole back nine through that lens of like that horrible bogey he made on 10, and it felt like it was all going to happen again, and stuffing it on 11 and stuffing it again on 12 and making those birdies was just like, dude, that's fucking process, man. Like that could have gone so many different ways at that point, and he got it done.
Look, it wasn't super inspiring the way that like 18 played out. Like that's a pretty bad drive in the moment, but that's a pretty darn good shot with the ball that high above your feet to get it up there and hit a good chip. Those are big boy shots, and he did it. He stepped up, and so hats off to him. Neil, to your other question, like how will we remember this? It's just kind of such indicative of how the PGA is just like your weird uncle. No, not your specific weird uncle, but everybody's weird black sheep uncle. Like, hey, sometimes it's a great party. Like sometimes you got to bail somebody out of jail. Sometimes somebody's getting divorced. Sometimes somebody comes in and they're feeling despondent because they can't, they have nothing going on in their life. They feel like their job is falling apart, like Vic. It's just a weird mix of all kinds of things. And every year I just feel like we don't really know what it's going to bring, right? Like sometimes Phil Mickelson is going to win the freaking PGA at 50.
Yes.
It's kind of a fun major because of that, because it doesn't have, it's always going to be looked down a little bit, our noses at it. It's never going to be as cool as the others. But I like its weird energy. It's like insecure energy in that way.
Yeah, I love that. So KVV, we've got you writing a gamer tonight. Is that right?
That is correct. We're going to just kind of put into context like everything that happened this week. And if you were to look back 10 years from now, like Solly and I are wont to do on these things, what would you remember from this? And the Scotty stuff, the Rory stuff, it's all going to sort of feel like, did that really just happen? Like that. So I think we'll try to kind of put that in context.
Hey, what KVV, what, if anything, is to be made of Xander's dad not being there? Because he's kind of an ever-present presence, and he's his swing coach. Like you go to like XanderSchauffele.com, and it's a fucking tribute to his dad.
Well, his caddy made that point too, Austin Kaiser. He said that, the last year or so, Chris Como's really been his main swing coach. And we were asking him a little bit, like, was there any tension with his dad over that? And he's like, no, like his dad knows that he doesn't know everything. And I don't know, like, if that's not necessarily my take on having talked to Stefan at the Ryder Cup. Like, he's a very confident person that it feels like he does know everything. But, I think maybe if that's not the case, that Stefan didn't step aside, then I think it's very possible that Xander said, like, hey, I need someone else to sort of have some eyeballs on this. And, Chris Como worked with Bryson for 5 years. So it was a kind of a weird final sort of pairing for him to watch that whole thing going down, like the former guy you taught for all this year and then the guy you've been working with recently. And I think Xander said, he mentioned his family, he taught about how excited he is to celebrate with them. But I think too, like, it is important for every golfer to sort of move past that evolution of like, and here's my parents like 15 feet away, right? Like that was part of Tiger's story for a long time, and it was part of Rory's story for a long time. But like eventually you got your own family, you got your wife here, you got your kids running out on the green. And I think maybe that's part of what Xander's going through now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, wire to wire, or pseudo wire to wire win. Like, that's plenty of time to get your family there, and and your dad's hanging out in Hawaii. I just thought that was interesting.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, KVV, thank you for joining us. We'll let you get back to writing, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers, boys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you, Kev.
Gentlemen, before we bring in our next special guest, I do want to give a shout out to sunscreen. There's not a lot to like about wearing sunscreen on the golf course. Gets on your hands, compromises your grip, your skin feels greasy and sticky, you smell like bananas, stings when it drips in your eyes. The list goes on. Oars and Alps has made it their mission to create sunscreen that eliminates those problems, and golfers are 250% more likely to get skin cancer, so it matters. Arm yourself this season with sunscreen that's designed for the course with hands-free spray options, lightweight and fast-absorbing formulas, refreshing scents, and travel sizes. You'll actually look forward to using them. For a limited time, get 15% off Oars and Alps' entire line of powerful clean sunscreen and skincare with code NLU15. Again, go to oarsandalps.com and use code NLU15. Skin protection, no laughing matter. Randy, we know that, right?
We do know that. Thank
We're
you.
not
Dave.
laughing.
I would never laugh. I would never laugh.
All right,
I
let's
did
bring him
say
in.
About it.
I wouldn't mind smelling like bananas. I think Solly has a couple things before we
Just-
get to our guest.
Real quick on Xander, want to just shout out, for as much as we've talked about him, I don't think we've ever just like flat out said on here, like Xander is an incredible putter. He's a very, very, very good putter and extremely consistent, and his putting does not slump. Like it is one of the most consistent pages you can find on Data Golf of like his putting is very above average and a true asset to him. And that like truly it paid off this week. He was 13th this week in putting, gained almost 5 shots on the greens. Like that's the difference in winning these things and not is like, he's not only an incredible ball striker, he's obviously playing the best golf of his life. He's over 2.5 shots gained per round now, which is really freaking good. Like that's like what Rory got up to on some of his hot streaks. That's one thing. And two, we talked a little bit about this in the week kind of leading up to it of saying like, all right, that doesn't mean just because he's had close calls and hasn't won, that doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever, right? And we just noted this, like, it seems like he's had a ton of close calls and can't close the door. I looked at this up. Phil had 8 top 3 finishes before he ever won a major. Like, can you imagine podcasting about Phil Mickelson, like between like 1998 and 2003 about all the close calls he's had? Now it feels like it wouldn't happen. I don't think Xander Phil is a great comp for Xander. I don't think he's going to win 6 majors and be one of the best players of all time, but I just found that part interesting. And I'm searching for the comp in that way of like who else is kind of Xander had 6 top 5s before this breakthrough. Sergio had 13 before he won the 2017 Masters. So like as hard as we've been on Xander, it's really not he's not really had the same amount of close calls as 2 of those guys that people are a lot more familiar with. So we can talk about what this means for his future major.
No, I think those are great points. I think it almost feels like Xander's done it in a very dense amount of time. Like some of those guys, it felt like it's spread out a little bit longer. But he's just like the last, basically year and a half, he's just been on the first page of the leaderboard. He's like an auto top 10. He just doesn't, his floor has always been so high that, and then on the putting note, Solly, it's like, you can't argue with the numbers, but I find his putting to be, I don't know, his stance or vibe feels a little uncomfortable. Do you see that? Or I don't know, maybe that's a personal thing, just the way it looks. I look at him, I'm like, oh, that guy's an awesome putter, but then the numbers say otherwise. True eye test situation, Randy.
I think one other thing with going back to Bryson is just Bryson's crank, right? The crank drivers changed the game for him.
And the Hebrew hammers.
So
Don't hear anything about the Hebrew hammers.
He's still playing the 3D printed irons, the one of ones. Unbelievable.
Real quick on the Xander, over the last 12 months is like the 9th best putter globally. Less than that, like the 5th best putter globally. Like on top of being that good of a ball striker, to be that good of a putter is just, again, something we don't really call out. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
And even today, there were spots where he missed, like that bogey on 10 was so bad. And Trevor Immelman said it in the moment, like when he was in that bunker and he's like, oh, I don't like this. Like he's pulling fairway wood, even though the bunkers are at grade and they're a disgrace. But just to make bogey from even where he was 30 yards short of the green there, and then hits a bad chip and then, misses the putt. And it's like, here we go again, So I do give him credit for, he certainly had to feel, here we go again too, and then he locks back in and makes a couple birdies and all that. So,
all right. Well, we're calling him in from the bullpen. He's fresh off the plane. He was exploring Odin's home country. Mr. DJ Pie, are we feeling well rested? What's the vibe, Deej?
We're feeling good. You know, I was feeling a lot better at about 4:45 a.m. Central Time this morning. You know, when you anytime you fly west, you come back and you're just that first morning you wake up and you're like, man, I'm a morning person now. I'm productive. I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. And then you hit about 7:00 p.m. and you're like, oh man, what day is it? But you know what? I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on your program, Neil. It's great to see you guys.
Our program, Deej, our program. We got a 5-man weave going. I love it. All right. You got to get 3 outs from the bullpen. Come on. You called me in during the Masters. I need him, man. I need him right now. 8th inning right now. Got to have
that was good. KVV, you know, had some good stuff early, maybe let on a couple base runners, but we can come in and lock it down. You asked me to get 3 outs. I've prepared 3 takes. TC, I have one request. You need to wait till the plane comes to a complete stop on this first one before you just buckle your seatbelt until you hear the ding, and then I would love to discuss afterwards. Okay,
I'm gonna mute myself. All right.
First take, Solly. I was itching to get in there. Xander Schauffele winning a major is good. 2 thumbs up. That's a good thing for golf. He's a good major winner. What do we bitch about all the time on this program? Consistency. You know, the guys who are impressive are the guys who are consistent. No one in the world has been more consistent over the last year, besides Scotty Scheffler, than Xander. Like, he does it every freaking week, man. I think it's 23 of the last 25 starts he's finished in the top 25. It's incredible. I cannot believe that I'm throwing these stats out here, but again, TC, you're going to have your time to respond. He's made the Tour Championship every single year. He's had his card. There's a lot of chuckleheads that have one bad year and just, you know, flame out. Xander has never done that. Listen to these numbers I'm about to say, okay? There's what, 200 guys on tour, something like that. I hate that I'm about to cite the FedEx Cup standings, but just please, you guys know what they mean. It's a reflection of how your season has gone. And here are Xander's for his entire career. Here's where Xander finishes at the end of each year, essentially out of 200 players. Okay. 2017, 3rd, 2018, 15th, 2019, 2nd, 2020, 2nd, 2021, 5th, 2022, 4th, 2023, 2nd. He's currently 2nd in the rankings. He's like, Solly, you're totally right. He doesn't make me feel all that much, but he is the dude, man. He is plus 2.3 strokes gained in the Data Golf rankings, which when we look at some of the guys on the board up there, Sahith is a great example. Like, Xander's like 1.2 shots better than him every day. Every day they show up to the golf course, Xander beats him by over a shot. Every fucking day. And that's where it's like, man, that's when you really start getting into it and you start looking at like, man, why are all these players like so in awe of Xander? What's going on with this guy? Why does everybody love it? It's like, man, yeah, you start digging in. Like, he's really good. He's a half shot better than John Rahm every day. He's a half shot better than Ludwig every day. It's just, it's really good. And a guy like that, it would be a shame if he went his whole career without having a major championship.
Well, now we get to like appreciate that, right? It all meant nothing until you won a major, right? Like, now you can backwardly look at that and be like, all right, dude, like we now recognize that now is evidence that we could submit to the court.
That's exactly right. And I will, TC, before, you know, we talked on the ESPN Plus show this morning about how he potentially is more interesting when he doesn't have a major, which I think there's something to that. I think there's something to watching like somebody beat their head against the wall for years and years and years and not make it through. You guys talked about Phil, you talked about Sergio. I think those are great comps. I'm gonna like Indiana Jones swap the you know, the weighted bag, like take Xander and I'm putting Colin on that after today. That sucked, man. That was like, this isn't even my second take. That sucked. Like, and that is where it's just like, no, that's the guy like that we need to be watching. And the whole like, can he do it with fans around? Was that a one-time pop? Is he going to do it again? Like, that's much more interesting than Xander just never winning one, I think.
All right. So first one, struck him out looking. Deej blew it by him. Just threw over to first. Almost got him at first base.
Does TC get a response?
I don't get to rebuttal.
Please. No, please. And again, none of this is like, oh my God, Xander's my favorite player. I'm just like, it's a career achievement. Guy deserves to win a major. You have to hand it to him.
I think Xander, you saying it's good for golf. I think Xander embodies everything that's wrong with the PGA Tour right now. Just like a bland, almost faceless, like amalgamation of statistics and analytics of like, he's just, yeah, dude, he's like, he's gaining two shots around. Like, I don't give a fuck. Right. Like, I don't enjoy watching him. It's not like there's nothing artful about it.
Yeah,
There's
the court's
nothing
going to put those
interesting
two
about
arguments
it.
next to each other.
Oh, you know, he rolls around. I do love that he hates Jay Monahan. Like I wanted to ride, dude. I wanted to ride for Xander. He put his name on that. He got up at the players and he said, like, yeah, I think Jay Monahan's a joke, basically. And that's what we've all been saying for 3 or 4 years.
I think he's more interesting than people realize, and I think it's one of those things that, like, when you win, like, this stuff compounds, and once you win, people care more about what you have to say. When they care more about what you have to say, they ask you more questions. I think that stuff snowballs a little bit. So
yeah, maybe he'll get some swag from this. I hear what you're saying there, Deej.
I do think it's much more interesting if he wasn't. Like he just seems, he strikes me as corny. He strikes me as kind of a prick. He strikes me as just kind of arrogant in a weird way. Like, you know, even stories from him growing up in San Diego or Southern California, junior golf and amateur golf, like just treating his competitors poorly.
But I struggle to hear that. And then you see or hear from the guys out there that they all seem to really like him.
Some of his Ryder Cup teammates that they got their asses kicked with, you know? I don't know. And DJ, to your point about Colin, as much as I'd like to get with you on that, like, we got to look at Cantlay. I mean, Cantlay's not even like
putting
himself
relevant.
in the neighborhood. It's a disgrace.
That's exactly right. He's not even like, hasn't even played good enough to like get shit on.
That's just funny. It's just weird to me that, like, I don't know. And like, maybe it's a Cantlay issue that Xander and Cantlay are best friends. Like, maybe I can't look past that, right? I don't know. It's just watching that golf on this golf course. The ball doesn't spin anymore. The greens don't break. The fucking hazards are 40 yards into the rough.
We're not there yet.
I know, but I can't separate these things.
Neil, we got to break up this meeting on the mound.
All right.
We got to break up this meeting.
Listen, Deej, you batter up.
Go, coach. All right. TC, you brought up the golf course. I haven't been able to catch a lot, but I'm reading between the lines. You guys didn't like Valhalla very much, and so what I have prepared a list. These are 5 golf courses that I think would have been better venues than Valhalla this week. This is a lot of kind of center of the country. I love, Randy, you said it on the preview, I believe. Like, I love that they went to Kentucky. It looked like an awesome turnout. I love seeing majors move around the country. I don't like it being like this week, you know, this year we're in New York and next year I can't wait to go back to California. Like, I do like when we see majors in our beloved flyover country here. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to throw out these 5. I'll go one by one. You guys tell me if these would have been better than Valhalla. Muirfield Village.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unequivocally.
I would say no, because I see it every year.
I don't even like Muirfield Village either, and I think it would have been more fun.
I would prefer Valhalla just because I haven't seen it in 10 years. So
fair.
I tricked myself into thinking
that's a big thing for me. I really don't like it when they take majors to courses that have a tournament every year.
Okay, but I tricked myself into that line of thinking on Wednesday of this week. I'm like, yeah, who cares the stage? And then by Thursday, it's like, no, fuck this place. Like, sometimes once you remember, like, just because you forget how bad a course is doesn't mean it's a terrible venue. Like, that's where I'm at. So I don't care if it's a repeat. Give me Quail Hollow 10 times out of 10 over Valhalla after what we saw this week.
We'll get there, Solly.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. I'll confess, I've never actually even been to this golf course. The honors course.
Yes.
I don't know that one.
I would say yes, because I don't know anything. I don't know much about it other than I hear it's very hard.
I think Curtis Cup hosted an NCAA championship. I remember in like 09 or something like that. I know they just did a reno, maybe 2015, something like that.
He's getting a little tired.
Major in Tennessee, I think would be cool. That feels like there's a lot going on there that could be very, very positive. Yeah. Okay. Looks like we got a quorum on that one.
Guys, I still just can't believe like nobody has ever tuned into a golf tournament to watch Xander Schauffele. Like, nobody cares about him week to week on the PGA Tour.
Totally.
It's crazy.
TC, I'm not. First of all, you had an opportunity to challenge this, like, and now the next batter is up. But I think that I'm not saying it's like this is the savior, man. This is it.
It's not good for golf.
I think if it's a 1 or a 0, like I think it's better than
I disagree with that
winning.
take, TC.
I
I
think
think
it's
that
better
he becomes more interesting
Morikawa
with this
winning,
win.
honestly.
Bogged down.
Okay.
Gunners on first and third.
Yes.
Let's go.
Come on, Deej.
This is an easy one. Heart pick. USGA has shown their favor there, but I don't think there's any world in which they're going back. Aaron Hills
Hill. I knew this was going to be on your list, and
Like,
of course.
Yeah,
yes.
100 times out of 100.
has to go back. I think it would be a great venue. All kinds of space. It'd be awesome. Fourth one that's close to all of our hearts. Inverness
Yes,
Oh,
unequivocally.
Yeah,
would be awesome,
definitely.
right? And the last one, I think all of us, or maybe not all of us, at least me and TC, and I don't know if any of you guys were there, but Olympia Fields. I think would be. I had a blast watching golf at Olympia Fields last year, and I think that would be an interesting revisit for a major.
It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was a lot more variety. I thought you were going to go Chambers there.
I was trying to keep it in the middle of the country.
That's easy, yeah.
You know, and I didn't want to. Also, it could have been like, oh, Chicago Golf Club or Shore Acres, but like all these felt
do it
like
at Bandon, man. They should do it at Bandon.
All right, do you guys like Hazeltine or Valhalla more?
Pleading
It's a true Sophie's choice.
That's Popeye's. Popeye's
maybe just
meme.
because I skipped the first 3 days of watching this one. I'll say Valhalla.
No, I could. Let me just for the edited version of the pod. Let's go ahead and remove that, and let's save you from that take. I'm sorry,
EJ. I appreciate you throwing out solutions.
That's what we're trying to do, man.
Throwing out solutions.
You know, and I even would, because of like I hate the vibe of Valhalla is like probably it's a big deal, I would imagine, in Kentucky, right? It's hosted the Ryder Cup. It's hosted a bunch of big Tiger moments. It's hosted a lot of PGA Championships. And so what I hate is in Hazeltine, I think you could say a lot of the similarity stuff. There's a lot of similar stuff. I hate when you come in, like an area of the country kind of gets like one shot like this and everybody shits on like the crown jewel. I hate that. I don't like that. And so what I would say is like Valhalla seems like it would be great for, I don't know, host like a playoff event. You know,
PGA Tour event.
Yeah,
PGA Tour golf course.
PGA Tour event. It does produce great leaderboards. It does ask
like corporate support.
Granted, it's kind of over and over and over, but it does ask a question. Massive turnout. Seems like there's a ton of good golf fans. I think there should be high level golf at Valhalla. I do not think it should be a major championship.
I will agree with that completely. We're critiquing it through the lens of we get 2 rotating American major championship venues every year, and it does not come close to clearing that bar. Continue, DJ.
All right,
DJ,
nasty splitter from
swing on
DJ.
that.
2 down.
I'll reach across the aisle there real quick and say too, like, it's not like they only got one shot at this either. This is the 4th big event they've had in the last 30 years. This is the 3rd big event they've had in the last, 12, 15 years?
For those uninitiated, like it was formerly owned by the PGA of America. Like there was a reason why it was in the Rota, and then it's since been bought back by a group of members, I believe. I don't know the full details, but like that's why this is a lame duck. Like it is not going to be returning to Valhalla after this. It's would have been maybe I don't know. It's not well planned out, but it doesn't really matter for the future.
All right,
third take. This one's going to be I can feel this is going to be a loud strike off the first pitch here. There's going to be a long foul ball, but
Change up. Guys way out in front, hopefully.
I think this major is going to age well. And let me explain what I mean by that.
I think you're right.
I think we are at an inflection point of a ton of different things. And I think a lot of them are going to lead back to this like weird ass kind of bad golf wise anyways, like major. And what I mean by that is the Xander stuff. This place is going for the rest of his entire career is all going to come back to this tournament, and he's in the hunt all the freaking time. As I laid out, he is going to be in contention at a lot of majors. All of it's going to be kind of like the Spieth, Spieth Chambers Bay or Spieth at, Troon or wherever that was, Birkdale. It'd be kind of like one of those, I feel like, for Xander. I think like legitimately may have cost Scotty the Grand Slam, like one bad round. I think he would have been up there and just suffocated everybody if he was up there this afternoon, didn't have that weird round on Saturday. And of course, I think he's going to go win at Pinehurst and at Troon as well. And that one round, like legitimately might have cost him the Grand Slam.
And he got arrested.
that's what I'm saying. Which is
just to call that out.
crazy.
Weird round on Saturday, but got to rest on Friday morning.
Right.
If anyone's listening to the Sunday recap and they missed the golf this week,
I would
got arrested on
highly encourage you to Google that.
6:01
Charged with on a felony count.
Yeah. Educate yourself on that one. Not fun to talk about. Rory's divorce. Like, dog, I think that's going to probably play a role in the next 5 years of Rory's life and career. That's going to kind of track back to this week. Hovland's back, like, pretty clearly, I think. I don't think that was like a fluke or fake. Like, that looked sustainable as fuck until that last swing. Just kind of one weird swing under the gun, but like 71 holes of really freaking good golf, which I think is going to lead back to this week. Sahith, I don't know what he is. That's gonna like lead back to this week again. It's just like, dog, stop doing this. This is not fun. You got
stop swinging at that. Stop swinging at those pitches.
Stop swinging at those pitches. Walk. We need you to get on base.
And also, if Spieth is heroin, like Sahith might be fentanyl.
It's not cool. It's not fun.
Designer shit.
Bryson like becoming an endearing person. I think that is like gonna, that tracks back to here. Like, oh man, remember how fun it kind of was watching Bryson at Valhalla? Colin might be the new Xander. I mentioned that. Next time he's in contention at a major, I'm absolutely going to be thinking about today. And I think also like the golf course stuff seems to, I don't know if it's reaching like a tipping point, but it does seem like maybe I'm just listening to you clowns too much, but there's more people than ever being like, this isn't fun, man.
Well, let me give you a few stats there, Deej, just to make that point. You got lowest 4-round total in a major, 21 under. Randy called it out yesterday. The fourth 62 in the last 4 majors. So, we've broken the sound barrier now 4 times. And then you've got a stat from Justin Ray, lowest combined score to par by field, PGA Championship history. 2024 Valhalla, minus 214. 1997 Riviera plus 40, 2018 Belle Reve plus 59. So cool leaderboard though. I mean, and I would say this about the leaderboard if we're going to talk course a little bit. I had a ton of fun watching golf this weekend, and I think the reason that is simply because of the division in golf right now. It was basically, like you said, a signature event, but I got everybody there, and so that to me is like, that's why it was fun. It didn't really have anything. I was able to set the course aside and be like, oh, this is pretty fun to watch. But yeah, like those stats just kind of call out like, that's stupid.
Well, on the opposite end of that, Neil, it's like we only get these guys together 4 times. Like, to have it just be a silly track meet like this was just a bummer, man. It really was, and it's
a waste.
It's just the bar to clear for these events. It just needs to be higher, right? It really, really does. I'm sorry. Like, that's kind of the really frustrating part. And all, like, Deej, like you mentioned a lot of things that we're tracing back there, but also just, some stories are coming to a conclusion here as well at this 2014. Namely, like, the most importantly, the one that I think everyone's going to remember is, like, again, we haven't talked about this yet, and we're almost an hour into this show. Like, an $80 pair of pants was damaged beyond repair at the 2014 PGA Championship. Like, it will be never seen of again. Like, there's can't even be made into bed sheets or curtains, I don't think. So, I don't think we could ever forget that happening.
And Blocky missed the cut. It's the end of the Blocky era.
That's what I mean. It's gonna be a little all roads lead back to Valhalla, I think. And so as much as you guys may have not liked the golf course, which is all I think very justified, as much as you may not like Xander, I think this one's sticking around in the public consciousness.
Deej, question for you.
I agree.
Go ahead. Go ahead, TC.
I was just gonna say, it's just so depressing that there's a shrinking amount of golf courses that they can go to for big events, and and some of them are going to have to be new golf courses too, and so there's just more variables. I don't know, it just sucks.
I would say the one storyline there that the undersold, I'm just going to reiterate, like, I mean, Scheffler, it kind of, I don't want to say there's 2 left, so he's not robbed of the Grand Slam, but just some off the course misunderstanding, like, and he's still T10. He comes back and plays well, today, and like, it's just, I don't think that one we can call out how long everyone's going to remember this tournament for that specific event. And I think that's probably a bad thing for Valhalla. And
I think what you're trying to say, I think in the long run, I think this is going to be much more remembered for Scotty Scheffler than Xander probably. And that's a little unfair to Xander, but I'm also of the belief, if Scotty doesn't get arrested and doesn't go through that, then there's a great chance he's hoisting the trophy.
And the Ted Scott absence on Saturday doesn't throw him for a loop as much as it did. Like, it was this whole thing. And I think, like, people are like, oh, well, Xander's playing like unbelievably world-class golf. Like, how is that any different than Scotty? Like, Scotty's been beating the fuck out of Xander. Like, that's the difference, guys. Like, that's why Scotty's interesting.
It's hard. He still would have taken 65 from Scotty on the weekend to get into a playoff with Xander. I mean, who knows if it all plays out the same way, if everybody sees that guy charging up the leaderboard. But yeah, from the evidence that we've heard or seen, or KVV's report that according to sources close to the situation, the plan is to drop charges against him. The fact that he was able to, get charged with a felony, booked for a felony, I don't know what the proper nomenclature is there, and then go play a round of golf shortly after that would go to say, like, seems like a massive avoidable overreaction from a police officer that is like potentially ruin a chance for the Grand Slam. I'd like to propose, like, if he wins the next two majors and wins next year at Quail Hollow, can we call it a Grand Slam? Like, can we just put a buy in for this one?
You know what you should do? Slam? Legitimately, I'm just thinking of this now. You should, if that happens, we should finally make the switch, and I will raise Brandel's hand in doing this, and we should just say the PGA is no longer a major, the Players is. That's it.
That's interesting.
It's Grand Slam. Congratulations, Scotty. First time since 1930. You rocked him, man. And honestly, I would do that now. That's fine. If this is PGA of America, look yourself in the mirror, go home tonight, think about this, do a little post-mortem debrief, after action report, and just say, hey, if this is what you're going to be, then like we're good. We're gonna
you guys said it, not me.
Players. TC talked about that duck dish he had at TPC Sawgrass. I mean, they're bringing those out.
Enterprises is bucking right now, guys.
That's major championship stuff. I don't know.
I do feel like I need to call to attention that the Players Championship does not have a lot of the best players in the world.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up, Solid.
Maybe that's the compromise, actually. That would be kind of sick. If this they that everybody's always talking about, they don't want to see these guys play well. They don't want to see these guys win. Maybe that committee could get together and just say, like, PGA Tour, we're going to make the Players a major, but you have to let everybody in.
Yeah.
Show me where to sign.
All right.
On that one.
While we have Deej here, Solly, I thought you made you had a fantastic, I don't want to call it a rant, but monologue last night just on what about this course is frustrating for you. And because I think online it becomes like, oh, they're 21 under and grumpy old men, that this is not my major, like the scores are way too low. And that's not the argument. And TC, you weren't around last night, so I also want to hear your take on this, but any shots today that sum up the lack of downside that I think is your core issue with Valhalla hosting a major right now?
Sorry, was that
Solly,
for me?
go ahead.
That's for you, Solly. Yes.
I mean, I could honestly, Neil, I thought about this today, and I know there's not enough time for this. I think I could do it with almost every hole, right? Like of just like the first hole, they moved that tee back across the road now and eliminated the most interesting element of that shot, which was how much are you willing to cut off of the corner and how much, are you willing to take out of that dog leg. For today, the first thing I'll think of, first thing I'll mention is the way Xander played 17. He, won the way Bryson played 17, of just no fear of, I'm just going to pound it over everything. There's nothing in my way, and I'm going to have a flip wedge in here on a 470-yard hole that they're trying to convince me is a difficult hole, and it's not. Xander hits it in the bunker. Okay, what's the penalty here? It's 9-iron up the hill. He fans it way right, and it's just greenside, an easy little chip up to 2 feet. Like, it was just, anytime somebody got into trouble, it was just like an easy chip, an easy recovery almost every single time. And there was many spots today, like on a more difficult, more challenging course, which is what I believe major championships courses are supposed to do. They're supposed to be a more exacting test, more than it is just like how low can you go, how much can you put the blinders on, go to the whip, and absolutely sprint up a leaderboard and make as many birdies as possible. I think majors should be different than that for a specific reason of like, dude, example I'll give, and this is off the radar of like, dude, I'm not a good mid-am. Like, I go to some of these mid-am tournaments, I am like bottom percentile, right? But if the course is easy, I'm relaxed because like I can beat some of these guys on an easier golf course. You put me on a hard golf course with like a lot of the dudes that play at a lot of these competitive events, I have no shot. I have no shot. It's a better identifier of the best golfer, more challenging shots with actual risk reward and actual consequences and outcomes to driving accuracy. The driving accuracy was almost completely mitigated this week in some of these super soft fairways, wide fairways, and then just all these misses around the greens that were how many times did somebody miss around the green this week and they were like, oh, that's dead. Oh, that's toast. They're not getting that up and down.
Yeah.
Almost never, because there's no contouring to the greens. There's just everything was so incredibly straightforward, not worthy of a major championship in any way. And I'm just, for somebody that watched it from the jump on Thursday all the way to Sunday, if you tuned in back 9 Sunday and thought that was exciting, like, and you don't share this opinion, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Like, it's probably a better way of enjoying this championship. I, for one, think a major championship should be very enjoyable to watch from Thursday all the way to Sunday. I should feel like it identified the best player in it. But he was the best on this golf course, but like, would that have survived on a more challenging golf course? I don't think it would have. And that like doesn't sit great on a Sunday night, right? I don't like putting asterisk on it. I don't want to go all the way there, but like, I will remember this for, if he'd have won at Oak Hill last year, I feel differently about it than him winning at Valhalla. And that's kind of the best way I could put it.
I totally agree. I think you said it well last night, Sally. It's not about, I'm fine with birdies, right? It's just how it's the how, not the what. Right. And I think I thought obviously the venue's poor. I thought the setup was poor too. The pins were like so benign today, so easy. Like, it just wasn't. Talked to a few players afterwards, and they're like, "Yeah, like it was like this is the worst setup I've seen for a major championship in my career, much less a PGA Tour event." And we get this week to week on a PGA Tour. We want to see something different. This is what differentiates the majors. Is they're supposed to be more dynamic, more assertive, more discerning of what the skill levels are. And listen, I get it. Valhalla got a bunch of rain in the preceding 2 weeks or whatever. You knew that going in. Grow the rough up higher. Do something else. It's just like everything that they did with this renovation leading up was piss poor. It's infuriating. It's infuriating.
Randy,
So
I know you're mad as hell, brother.
Well, these guys have all the anger I need. I'm like, yeah, boys, you got this. I thought Hovland, Vic had a pretty good quote about what we're talking about, and this was yesterday after round 3. I'm quoting Victor Hovland: "The greens being soft and having Zoysia around the greens, it's hard to separate yourself. You're going to have to make a bunch of birdies and roll a bunch of putts in, because if you miss in certain spots, guys seem to be able to spin it out of the bunker, spin it out of the fairway, so you can kind of get away with some bad shots. But if you catch fire, you can shoot a low score," which a couple of guys have done, but it's hard to do that every single day. So that's why I think you see the bunch scores. And I think that's kind of it. Like, I even think to Xander missing the 17th green, right? In a quote unquote normal major, like that's a really iffy, delicate chip shot he has to play. And like, it looked about as straightforward of a shot as you could imagine. And I thought that was just a microcosm of what we saw all week everywhere.
Especially when he felt a little nervy on some of the chips earlier in the back nine. It's like, oh, he hits it in the bunker off the tee. You think, oh, he's in trouble. And then it's like, no, he's able to just bail out right. And it's literally the easiest shot on the course.
Just didn't feel like there was any consequences for anything all week. And that cheapens the birdies. That cheapens the good shots, right?
Yeah.
I think that sorry, go ahead.
I hate doing this every week. I really honestly do hate doing this every week because it doesn't change week to week. But like, a lot of the blame gets put on the golf course, and we're talking about that now. But like, again, a huge, massive part of this equation is the technology of like, the first 2 holes were 500-yard par 4s, and Bryson hit gap wedges into both of them. Like, what the fuck are they supposed to do? Make them 550 yards? Like, it's literally, it's really hard to set up. It's hard to find a good golf course to fit what we're requesting of the best players in the world, to get into the right conditions, to get the right setup, to get everything aligned, to be able to get 156. It's really hard in the current technology, right? So that's the part that I give some sympathy towards the setup on it. And like, it's just the confluence of these two things it's a massive, it's the reason we've been screaming about it for 10 years. Like, it's only getting worse. Like, Xander's up to 190 ball speed, whatever it is now.
190. I think it was 196.
No, 192 is what we saw on 7 yesterday. But we were
but Bryson today on 16.
Bryson was 196.
Yeah. 196.
Yeah. I was saying Xander was up to 190 ball speed. Like that is
It's
going to
not
lead
just
to
Bryson.
it's going to lead to stuff like this, right? And it's I don't know, man. It's not going to be resolved anytime soon, really. Sorry.
I thought Andy Johnson, the Fried Egg, had a great write-up yesterday, maybe. All my days are kind of blending together now. I think I read it this morning in their Fried Egg newsletter. And he kind of put what you were just saying, like, very succinctly, in that there was a time when a golf course like Valhalla was like extremely difficult, challenging major championship golf. And as soon as every player can hit it long and straight in a like far more consistent fashion, like that test is not what it used to be anymore. And it's almost like everybody's skipping step one of the test, right? Where like back in the day when drivers were harder to hit, like this was a lot more difficult golf course and the scores would have been a lot higher. And you're not like, Solly, what you're saying is, there's a lot less downside risk because guys, you're not really hitting it out of position off the tee. A lot of that is because you're freaking 60 yards closer to the green, 70 yards closer to the green, and you're flying bunkers or you're taking stuff out of play or whatever. And just, I thought though I would encourage people to go read that. The way Andy wrote it was very well done. And I think the other thing I'd say about the golf course is, I guess, just a bit of understanding that when we get everything we want, I understand that can also be like quite boring to like a very casual golf fan. And I'm not saying we should build everything for the casual golf fan. You should, solid to what you said on whether, I forget where that was, preview pod or something, but like you should build it to kind of identify the best golfer, and you should build it to like competitively separate players. And the best illustration I can think of is like when Scotty really gets rolling and when Brooks really gets rolling at a really difficult major championship, it looks really boring to anybody who's not like a golf sicko, because they're never out of position. They're constantly hitting it to 18 feet left of the hole, 30 feet right of the hole, and they're just constantly moving their chess piece around. And I get how watching Victor just like throw it at every flagstick today is probably more interesting to a lot of people. And so that's where I'm kind of like, I'm one hand, Randy, I'm just like fist up, fight the power. We got to do something about this. And with the other hand, I'm just like, dog, I don't know what you want me to do.
But then,
like,
Deej, why isn't the week-to-week PGA Tour more popular then?
Totally,
that's what it is, week to week, right?
No, that's the best counterpoint. I
I will say when we roll around to US Open time and it's not like a very difficult setup, this is what pisses me off, because we get the easy setups. I've seen these guys on easy setups. At least test them when shit's like hard. And I don't care if it's unfair. Like let's swing the pendulum back the other way one week. It's like you got to give me that opposite side of the spectrum at some point.
And this is where we begin to separate a little bit, Randy, because like then I just like it's the task of like the proper really hard setup is such an incredibly fine line to balance right now with the current state of technology that like they're just not going to err. Like it's just not realistic to err on the side that you'd like them to err on, right? I'm not saying you're wrong that's not more entertaining to you. It's just like we're just not going to see that. Like there's no appetite for that amongst players or governing bodies or any of that.
All right. Oh, no. We're going to stop this now.
Hold on. In 2028, let's revisit that once we fix the technology a little bit and say, all right, what can we do with setup now to make this? The thing at Valhalla that pissed me off was the fact that like some of these hazards or penalty areas or whatever are 30, 40 yards into the rough. Like Xander on 2 today. It was disgusting, Solly. Like you were
broken.
You were watching with Sophie and like you were appalled because you're like, this is some of the first golf that she's ever seen.
She started crying her eyes out when she saw Xander blow a ball 30 yards offline. It hold up on the bank. He just like bones an iron long into a bunker. This is not Ian Baker Finch's fault. He's trying to, instill some drama into this, or Trevor's, I don't know who said it, but like, oh, it's going to be a challenging bunker shot. It wasn't fucking challenging at all. Like it could not have been an easier, more straightforward bunker shot. He hits it to like 6 inches and made par. He did not hit one good shot. He didn't like earn anything on that hole. And that's supposed to be one of the harder holes. And it was like that for like 13 of the 18 holes. Like that's just one example. I don't have the time to do all of these holes for the shortcomings of it. And I sometimes wonder, like, are we bitching about this and does anybody care about it? And hearing from a couple guys that walked off the course today, and they were finally like, yeah, that was the worst, like literally the worst major championship setup I've ever seen. And
these are like top 50 players in the world.
Since I've been covering the game, that was the worst I've seen. Like it really was.
Yeah. So it pisses me off when people say old, like when they say, what's the difference between that and the old course? of like there's actual like it's not just like a 1 or a 0. There's actual decisions on the old course, and there's consequences, and like everything's relative, right? The scores are low. There's plenty of birdies out there and all that, but like there's also plenty of bogeys and doubles and triples if you don't play your cards right too. You know, even if the wind's not blowing.
All right, I love it. I wanted to stop before Randy and Solly started disagreeing again. I mean, this has been a big week with us
come a long
two.
way this week. I know.
Coming to the same conclusion. I love it. All right, I have 3-4 big picture ones while we have DJ here. Now, who is now the best player to have not won a major? If we considered Xander the best player, you know, kind of current player. Let's make it that current active player to have not won a major.
I think you can go two ways with this, right? Of like who's been like good for the longest time and like accomplished some things and doesn't have a major, or who's currently the most talented golfer in the world that has not won a major? Because I think I have two different answers to that question.
Are you asking in like the Colin Montgomery, Sergio?
No,
like
I'm
resume or talent.
I'm asking for the current talent, current golfer at on the crooked OWGR list right now. And I guess having a little bit of staying power on that list does matter. Like, how long have you been on that list and at the top of the game?
I think there's 4 people in the conversation, probably.
Lay them out.
I think it's Cantlay. I think it's Ludwig. I think it's Tommy, and I think it's Victor. And I think you could sell me on any of those guys.
I don't think Cantlay enters the conversation.
He's won so much more than any of those guys.
Yeah, but you look at what he's done in majors. Like, I think that's a part of the equation, right?
Sure. So
I would say Cantlay is probably at the top of my list because he's been around the longest too. Him and Tommy. TC, who you got then?
I might say
I got Vic. I think Victor. Yeah. I think he's knocked on the door 3 times out of the last 5 majors or 6 majors. Obviously he fell off a cliff, but he's clearly got that top gear to compete with the best in the world. He's won plenty of PGA Tour events. He moves the needle. Like, he's young. There's additional upside and ceiling there. I'm not going to say Ludwig just because I think Ludwig needs to clean up his knee, and then B, he needs to clean up some of his wedge play and some of his putting too. So I think it's Victor personally.
If we're taking Ludwig out, maybe we drop Neiman in, but he has done so little at majors that it's
he's kind of a younger Cantlay.
Yeah, Neiman is not into the conversation for me.
What about Max?
I think Max is on that cusp, right? If you're looking for a different 4th guy in the conversation. Yeah, I think it's big for the record. I think talent, projectability, and he's had some close calls. I think it's Hovland.
Cody's saying Cam Young should be in the conversation. I think Zalatoris is in the conversation well before Cam Young.
And I think
Cam Young hasn't won a tournament. Yeah.
Cody, I don't know if he was the best player at La Costa that day.
It's either Vic or Gooch for me. I mean, I don't know if you have to go any farther down the list.
That's
on either of those things.
All right, this is the one I think people are clamoring for. How many career majors for Xander? What's the over under? Randy, we're gonna go to you first.
You set the over under. That's the most fun part, Neil.
Yeah. I think Neil, you got to set the line.
8.5.
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna say 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Under.
Does this count as a full major?
Are you saying 2.5 or are you saying 3.5?
I would go 2.5 if I was you, because it's an easy under on 3 for pretty much anyone, I think.
All right, 3.5.
2.5 is where I think you're going to have a chance of going over.
Yeah. So you guys are all going under.
Under 3.5.
I'm gonna stay at 3. I think it's 3. I think there's a likelihood he wins 2 more. He's what, 28?
0.5 right now.
He's 30, so he's always a little older 30, than I think.
Okay.
He's 30.
I don't know. DJ,
you're asking for 3 more. Then you're asking for 3 more, not 2. If you think he wins 3,
we're talking about Neil. If you think it's 3, I think a good line would be 2.5 to kind of, are you going?
I get what you're saying.
Over.
Okay,
yeah.
2.5. Sorry,
it's gonna work well on the edit. Yeah,
I'll take the under. I think he wins 1 more.
I'll go 2 just because I think he probably validates this one, but I don't think he does more.
God, it's a
I
really
don't
good
know.
line.
I really
It's a
don't
really
know.
good one.
So sick that Saul, you didn't even like pretend to ride for Big Tone and that best player without a major.
Oh, wow.
Of course not.
It's so sick.
Tone hasn't played good in like 2 years.
My
But the
mom-
Northern
my-
Trust. But the
My
Northern
mom
Trust.
was clowning on Big Tone today. It was
I-
great. I was
I'll
like,
say this about
nobody's even
Xander.
gonna hit it in that water on 18. Like, why is that even there? She's like, what about that guy you guys always make fun of, Tony? I was like, oh yeah, he might hit it in there actually. If the tournament was on the line.
If Xander's as good as DJ told us he is, and he has been that
That's
good.
kind of what I'm getting at. The stats
And now he's
were
won a
really
Like,
good.
you guys
major.
don't even believe the stats.
Well, I'm going over 2.5. Like winning a major is only going to help him in these situations going forward. Like I don't. I guess I don't know what I'm missing. I think 3.5 is actually a better line, maybe.
Well, he's playing in the Scotty Scheffler era, and we're conveniently forgetting that right here. So I was honestly getting ready to say over until I remembered Scotty existed. The one thing is he's been so good in the U.S. Open. He's been really, really, really good in the U.S. Open that I would strongly believe that he gets one of them. But
And he's been good at the Masters though too. Like I feel
Yeah.
like he picks one off at Augusta for sure.
we hand out too many, so I'll say under. I think he gets to 2 majors. That'd be my pick.
Who wins more majors career, Cam Smith or Xander Schauffele?
Ooh, I think Xander.
Yeah, Xander.
I don't think Cam's getting another one. TC, I'm sorry.
It's not been great. If I can give a shout out to
What do you think? You think he gets another one?
I think Cam gets one more.
um,
He's been chilling, but he's gonna lock back in.
I regret to report that this is another victory for my pro golf fantasy draft that we did back at the Mexico Open. I have Xander. I got Xander in the third round. So
Getting late early.
that's 2 majors for me.
We'll
this
have
year.
to. Yeah, I think in that we can definitely count this as less than a major.
This is a signature event for TC, or he's gonna boycott the rest of the competition. All right.
Can I also add that TC drafted Cantlay right ahead of Xander in this draft? It could have had him in the third round.
Oof, TC, that's an indictment there, especially with our the words you've shared on this this here pod tonight.
I need to also congratulate you, TC, on Rory not winning this week. I know you were all over that one.
Tough week for your boy, guys. I want to share a quote from a personal hero of mine and someone with deep Louisville ties. He says, "You have to make mistakes to get better. I used to make a mistake and kind of get down on myself. Now I make a mistake and I go, okay, did you learn from this? Did you stick to the facts? And did you stick with the logic? Did you have the analytics? In my case, did I have the eye test?" You know who said that?
It has to be Papa John.
OJ.
Papa John.
Honestly,
Better
Like, it doesn't sound like Patino, so it's got to be Papa.
Yeah, it has to be Papa John.
well, Deej, I mean, I know you've been an attendee at the block party. Any thoughts on Rory? Just while we've got you.
Listen, wide range of emotions. Obviously, it looked like maybe a little bit of a run. I will say on the block party stuff, we don't have to totally relitigate it. I know you guys are coming to Milwaukee this week. Maybe we can crack a beer and have this conversation offline. TC and Solly, I don't know if you guys are understanding the philosophy of the block party. That's where I think the breakdown is. I feel like the block party, Neil, as I've always understood it, is just like unabashed. I'm running at the wall with my head down and I don't care what happens. And that's if you're coming to the block party, that's what you're doing. And you guys constantly being like, yeah, I might come up, but like also he might not win. But like but I'm coming and you got to let me come. But like also like you got to look at like all his past results. I don't think he
I said he was gonna win this week, Deej. Like
but
on
then
Wednesday.
you also he wasn't gonna win, and then you revel in his
New
despair.
information, new shit came to light, man.
It's always new information. A lot of new information.
As an outsider, that's Neil. Am I missing anything there?
I don't think so. They've said it's been exclusionary, and I disagree with that.
If that's the case, then why are you guys shutting down the block party prematurely, early on a Friday, early on a Saturday? If it's just to go,
he was out of
enjoy
town
the whole weekend and run against the wall. And maybe bring
once it becomes like a dangerous situation, you have to, for the good of the neighborhood, like you do have to shut it down. But it always starts from a good place. It always starts with like a lot of positive enthusiasm. But here's what I will say, Neil, about the block party is like, man, we had this one circled.
Yeah, we did.
You want to talk about like big driver friendly ballpark with good vibes. This was the one, dog. And Pinehurst is not the one, and Troon is not the one, and
Quail Hollow though.
some of these like future US Open venues are not the one. Augusta pretty clearly is not the one. So that's tough. It's now been a decade. So that's tough. The divorce is super tough. I don't know how much we want to get into that, but like that was a colossal bummer. Just
not good
all around. Everything
sure.
seems like an unbelievably
the rumors are starting to break contain.
It's which I have no idea of any of that stuff, but I would just like, speaking from the outside looking in, like has to be, I don't know, the most like isolating stretch of Rory's life over the last couple of years. Just like putting a lot of takes out there. He probably regrets riding for players, getting shit on by players, like probably losing friendships with players. And then something like this happens and they have a young daughter and it just sucks like all the way around. So I feel for a guy that has been great to this podcast and has been great to us and who I love watching on TV. It just has to be a very tough time. And that sucks. That was not fun news to see. As far as his golf goes, I guess I'll look at like the 98-yard wedge over the green into the back hazard. That's, I think we're
Unlucky.
good here. I don't think we need
or the putting yesterday. It's just like one step forward, two back. It's
and that's where I keep constantly coming back to like, dude, I don't know that this guy's beaten, Scotty. Interesting, he won, an event where Scotty wasn't there.
yeah.
Scotty wasn't there. Ludwig wasn't there. Bryson wasn't there. Rahm wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I'd say the vibes aren't good. TC, thanks for, thanks for asking. I guess.
I feel like the vibes aren't good at Coachella right now either.
It was just a bit of
kind of how Quail Hollow is going to feel next year.
I wanted to get your take on it, Deej. More so just on Rory in general. And I got exactly what I was looking for there. All right. Speaking of some guys that aren't at these PGA Tour events, you think Xander's a live risk?
I mean, his price just went up.
I threw this in there of like kind of going in that category of, once you lock up the exemptions, does it change your decision tree of, where you want to, what you want to do over the next couple of years? We've seen it happen with Rahm. I would put Xander in that category of like, I wonder if that changes things. I'd be surprised. Like I've been surprised with a lot of these. If he's lasted this long, I don't know why he would go now, but does his price go up and does that decision look a little different? First, as hard as he was on Monahan at the Players, like just flagging that one. I have no.
Give him the iron heads right now.
I mean, he allegedly hates LIV. Like, yeah, he's privately and publicly like said pretty dismissive comments of it, and anybody you talk to is like, no, dude, like he absolutely hates it. But I would have said the same thing about Rahm, and Rahm sold out. Rahm did hate it, but he got a lot of money to pretend like he doesn't hate it. So I was flagging that one of anyone that wins a major now. I think it could potentially change the decision. So,
yeah, that's fair. Exemptions are worth a lot these days.
Speaking of exemptions, Blandy gets to tee it up this week in the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship.
That's huge.
I reached out. It wasn't confirmed. It was through some very unreputable sources. Reached out to a source at LIV. They confirmed it for me. So.
No leg up can now report.
All right. Well,
I would ride actually, TC. I would ride for, in this world where like nothing really matters in men's professional golf except for the majors these days. Xander going to LIV, usurping the Ironheads, firing everybody, bringing in a bunch of new players. I'm like,
I would be
interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually. You know what? That's a compelling. That's a compelling case.
That's what it takes for Xander to be interesting.
Yeah. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, if the team golf stuff, if they play that up a little bit more. Go ahead, Sally.
Can I get a quick LIV dig in while we're on the topic? If I'm counting right, 2 LIV players in the top 25. Bryson at runner-up and Dean Burmester at T12.
That's really the guy that gave it away today was Dean.
Dean Burmester, mean Dean Burmester. This is the 8th major since LIV Golf came to existence, and this is 7 of the 8 have been won by as of the time of playing the majors. 7 of the 8 have been won by PGA Tour players. So either LIV is really bad at preparing you to play in majors, or there's more talent on the PGA Tour. One of those two things I think has to be true.
Yeah. So it's become a tradition. I think we've put out, I don't know, at least 12 hours of hashtag content this week around the PGA. There were some bad takes. We're going to bring ServePro in to help us clean some up. In golf, when bad shots happen, there's a mulligan ball. When fire, water, and other damage happens, there's ServePro. Thankfully, the pros at ServePro can help us clean up some messy takes from this week. Let's go around the horn. Some bad takes, some mea culpas. Let's get some help from ServePro and make it like it never even happened. Randy, I'm going to go to you first. Would you like to highlight a bad take?
Well, I keep buying high and selling low on Colin, so just a string of own goals I'm committing on myself here. Fool me 3 times, Colin. Fool me 3 times. I told Cody though, I'll to shift gears a little bit. Actually, Cody, I don't know which one you have for me. The one that probably tickled me the most was on behalf of our good friends at CBS. They flashed that tournament graphic early in the day today where they had 2 tournaments completely wrong, and then the senior PGA in the wrong location, and then had to come back to it later in the day with a corrected kind of around the world of golf. Here's the first one. I think they just rinsed and repeated this from last year, like the LPGA match play that happened weeks ago. The LPGA is off next week. The DP World Tour's in Belgium. They're not in the Netherlands. So on behalf of CBS, I'm sure there were some folks in the truck who were wishing that original graphic had never happened.
Fair enough. Solly.
I thought we were supposed to do our own takes, revisit our own takes.
Well,
I did throw Colin in there.
No, he shouted out Colin.
All right.
Yeah.
I do give CBS credit for going back to the graphic and correcting it.
Yeah.
Actually,
NBC
that's
wouldn't
good to
have done
know
that.
because I didn't know it was really supposed to be about our own takes, but that's good knowledge moving forward.
Okay, moving forward. Thank you, Randy.
Important context there. Guys, I couldn't have been selling harder on Hovland coming into the week. One of my picks this week was just, I literally went to FanDuel and was just like, oh, let's see whoever Hovland is playing. I'm going to put that in as one of my big picks for the Wednesday happy hour. It was Tyrrell Hatton. Yeah, that was a dumb one. That was a bad take. I'd love a mulligan on that one.
I appreciate that, Solly. I called you on that in the moment.
Correct.
Right after I said that Xander Schauffele wouldn't win this week.
Making the terrible mistake. And so I'll have to live that one. I'll own that one for a while. Listen, a lot of my other picks hit very hard. The Bryson under 68.5 today. I don't know what that was a layup. Top 20 parlays hit, but I got to own this one. That was a very bad call on Wednesday.
I love it. TC, what do you got?
Yeah, I have an apology. I could not have been more wrong. This actually stretches back to last week. I want to apologize to Johnson Wagner and to the people of Charlotte, to the people of the Carolinas, and to the members of Quail Hollow. I apologize for ever calling your tournament a bad major venue, because we've seen now what a bad major venue is. And I apologize to Tim Fincham and everybody with the WGCs, everybody who was involved in any of the signature events for the last few years. I'm sorry that I even equated this tournament to those tournaments. So that was disrespectful of me. I've learned my lesson. And, it's one of those things. I hope the people of Louisville can find it in their heart. I like Louisville. I've had great experiences there. I think there's
not your fault. Louisville.
Awesome restaurants there, but don't be like St. Louis and take this as TC hates this one specific club in St. Louis. He hates all of St. Louis. No, St. Louis has great golf fans. Louisville, great golf fans. You guys showed out this week.
You kind of hate all of
course
St. Louis.
Stinks. I do hate all of St.
Louis.
St. Louis and Canada are in the same
I don't want that to go unchecked. Nobody loves St. Louis more than me.
No, or the Woodlands, TC.
Ville. Yeah, same thing with the Woodlands. I love Houston. The Ville. I love you guys. All right. Taco Bell, Yum Brands. I love you guys. But I just and I'm just tired of hearing about these guys bought this course and what they've done with it is incredible. What they did, what have they done? It was they should have brought Jack Nicklaus back in to renovate the course. I think he would have done it more. It would have been more interesting. It would have been more provocative.
God, TC, I'd never heard you apologize, say the word sorry with such enunciation. That was a striking
TC,
segment.
TC, I have to say my phone's blowing up. Our good buddy Joe Maraca is texting, and he's saying, tell TC to take it easy on Valhalla. And I don't think he can break 95 there. So I don't know if you want to respond to that.
I mean, I'm not sure Joe can break 105 after what we saw on the last golf trip we were on with him 10 years ago. One other apology I have. You know what? I want to apologize to the Golf Channel PR account for not, for us not adding that context. And whenever we talked about anything this week, that we were, working for Omaha Productions on behalf of ESPN and, all of that. Listen, hand up there, guys. You got us. You guys red-handed. Like nobody, we didn't tell anybody that we were working on ESPN this week.
Nobody could tell. Nobody knew.
Mea culpa.
God, that's electric stuff, TC. All right, I will go next. I lost my shirt. I lost an $80 pair of pants on my Dogecoin play on Thursday. So we know that. We've already apologized for that. But my sincere one is it's not so much an apology, but I would like to just note like how down and anti Bryson I've been in the past. And I when that putt fell on 18 and I'm rooting for him, I'm just like, what is going on with me? Like, he's really starting to win me over as just good for golf. And I feel like I need to acknowledge that.
Such a sick photo.
Kind of like Phil Jumpman.
He's an entertainer, and I'd like to see more of him. It's like, I could go watch the CW network, but I'd like to see more of him in these big moments. And I want to give him credit for really strong, you highlighted earlier, really strong major performances the last year. He's putting himself out there. He's putting himself in position. Maybe I should go watch his YouTube channel if I feel this way. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but in these big moments for golf, I'm glad he's I'm glad he's balling out, and I think he deserves credit for it. I also want to say that he made one of the best 4 calls I've heard in years on 16, and that shows a lot of growth because I know he was someone that we kind of flagged a long time ago as someone that didn't yell 4. So shout out to Bryson for the growth and kind of flipping my mindset on him. Deej, you got anything? I know you weren't around all week. Anything you want to apologize for on vacation?
Not too much on vacation. I think this is a targeted one, but I'll apologize to our fantasy baseball league. So I know you kind of aired me out on this, but Max's team sucks, and they just cleaned my clock this week. I apologize. I know you guys look at me as kind of a leader as far as the league goes. Solid anointed me privately deputy commissioner, and for me to go out and just lay an egg against such a bad team was tough. Max's team is OPSing like over 900, like as a team. It's just he somehow like suited up the 1927 Yankees this week. So that it was just bad for everybody, bad for the game. It's been fun having Max as a punching bag in the cellar all year, and I hated seeing that, and I know you guys probably did as well.
Well, I want to give a shout out to whoever it was that shouted at Max that a reminder for him to set his lineup for this coming week. That was that's good stuff. He updated us with that when he got off the golf course.
Big shout out to that guy. Thank you.
Well, and shout out to ServePro. If you need to clean up at home from fire, water, or other damage, visit ServePro.com or call 1-800-ServePro today.
I actually called ServePro this morning. I said, "Hey, I got coffee damage." They said we can't. You gotta go to the Apple store.
Right before the ESPN stuff, TC's scrambling to find a computer that will work. All right,
Max's beat down up on the screen if you wanted to see it.
We'll turn it over to TC here to cook for a minute, but a couple of notables on the leaderboard. Brooks with a good day today, finished at -9. Billy Ho and Jordan Smith shooting 64. Billy Ho and sneaking into a T10 with a 64 today. Tommy Ladd, final round 65. And Braden Shattuck, he was +3 today, but finishes at -1. I believe, Randy, he was still the low club pro, which I know you're fired up about. So TC, what am I missing there on the leaderboard?
Yeah. Gosh, where do we want to go? I think Brooks should probably catch a little bit of flack, right? Like we were talking about this the other night on the live show, Solly. I think how many of these do we need to see before we start talking about Brooks and majors? And he was obviously defending champ here, so I felt like that was a little premature. But
I'll give him a pass on just like the bullshit setup is like, dude, Brooks has been the dude when it gets hard. So I'll give him a pass for this week.
Agree.
I will
Thomas
not give Ram a pass on missing the cut. That was some bullshit.
Team Rose, we don't even talk about him. Horschel, I'm thrilled to see. People were clowning me for having Horschel in my twisted mind parlay, and Horschel was a no-brainer there. I think this guy, like, this wasn't even a great setup for him. And all right, McIntyre and Noren, Solly, right next to each other on the leaderboard. Anything to say there?
Big shot Bob eagle the last hole to get into the field again for next year, which was awesome to see, and it's great to see Alex Noren coming over and earning some OWGR points the right way in a big tournament. Very happy.
Is Horschel? Sorry, just backtracking a quick second. Is Horschel's Wiki Yellow the least competitive of anybody's Wiki Yellow? It's got to be, right?
In history.
Maybe in history, yeah.
That would be a good deep dive. Like, hey, bring us let's research the worst Wiki Yellow in the history. I do want to shout out Hovland. He shot 66, 66, 66 Friday to Sunday. Didn't win.
That's the Bob May.
That's very true.
At Valhalla,
Bob May did that. Yeah.
So, what else we got? Lee Hodges. There were some moments today where it was like, oh, like Lee Hodges is rising up the board. I don't think I could pick Lee Hodges out of a lineup.
Honestly, I swear to God, that was the first time I'd ever seen him was today.
Well, dude, he passed a kidney stone this week too. Did you hear that on
Marty
ESPN
Smith
this morning?
Had a very
that's tough. I know the franchise was struggling with a kidney stone last year. They're not fun. From what I've heard, I'm getting word kidney stones stink.
Ryo Hitsatsune continues his great play. T18 for him. He's been honestly one of the hottest players in the world this year. So I know you guys are going to shit on that. You're going to say, oh, he's a manipulator from Japan, but no, for real. Harris English and Austin Eckroat both finished T18 -11. Solly, what would you like to say?
Wait, can we?
One of the hottest players in the world this year. One of the hottest players in the world.
Yeah,
TC coming in this week. He missed the cut at Myrtle Beach last week.
I said this year. I didn't say this month.
He does have one top 10 in the last year, TC, that you got to hand it to him.
Is 0 top 10s this calendar year anywhere globally? Not one single one.
Didn't this guy? No. All right. He had T13.
Depends on the
Craig James Cup.
Like we were saying on ESPN this morning, there's like 30 million people that play golf. Like he's one of the hottest ones.
Who was the other Japanese guy?
Out of you, man.
Somebody else won. All right. I'm sorry.
Hideki Matsuyama won at Riv.
No, shut up. Shut up. Okay. He won the Kazoo Open de France last year. Okay. That was his last win. But there was another. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You guys are going to shit on me on that one.
ServePro. Yeah, it's your guy TC again.
Anyway, Harris English, Austin Eckroat. Great week for both. Both of them shot 70 today. Probably should have been a little bit better, but tied with Big Tone at T18. So Big Tone, very, very predictable on the weekend, 69-70.
Good to see him making a move this weekend.
Yeah. Promising weekend for Maverick McNeely. He shot -10. Tommy Fleetwood, guys, he makes an eagle to make the cut and then made another eagle today on 7 as we were on the air. Shot 65 today.
T26. Is that? Are we going to celebrate that, TC?
No, this was a terrible setup for him. It wasn't hard enough, and I expect to see him play very well at Pinehurst, and he's going to win at Troon. Okay. He tied with Brooks Koepka this week. He tied with your boy Corey Connors, Brian Harmon, Minwoo Lee, things of that nature. So,
did you guys know Lee Hodges won a PGA Tour event?
No.
First time hearing that was today. Yeah, actually,
that's crazy. He won the 3M.
We got the Pro T35 with Bryce Garnett, Doug Gim, Hideki Matsuyama, -8.
I was
like the Pro's going to start trending here
with Hideki. I thought he would make a move this weekend. It felt like a very good golf course for him.
Friday 65 for Hideki. I might start calling Jordan Spieth Jordan Smith. Just kind of like how we called Julio Jones Juan Smith, Randy. Let's see what else we got.
I think we're about set.
No, TC, you got 30 seconds. I had a clock on. Solly, seriously.
Lucas, glad to see Lucas Glover making the cut. Will Zalatoris T43. That's not going to get it done. I thought Jason Day was going to have
come up in our best player to not win a major. which
Yeah.
you know
He's won-
maybe
he's won-
also receiving votes.
He's won one tour event. Like, I mean,
Jason Day was wearing sweatpants today. It was 90 degrees in Louisville. I think Spencer Hall declared it a sous vide down there. Jordan Spieth -6, T43 for him. No Hat Pat, T53, tied with Jesper Svensson, Patrick Reed, Torbjorn Olesen, Zach Blair, and one shot behind them, Taylor Gooch. Zach was the only player today to hit it in the water off of his drive. On
not the only one. Jordan Spieth joined him just a few moments later. He trying to drive
Same deal.
the
Oh yeah,
No,
Jordan was trying to drive the. Yeah, Zach just gassed like he was hitting like these bunty drivers out there. He said, and he just caught one, I guess. Lastly, what else we got? Cam
Last
Young.
one.
I mean,
Last one. TC, you got one more.
You got to shout out the illusionists at T68.
Yeah,
Both Hoygaards finishing T68.
Those Hoygaards.
You're never gonna know which one's which. They could
finishing
be doing
T68 along with Sebastian
Parent Trap
Soderberg,
situation.
Luke Donald. We do have to shout out Alejandro Tosti today as well for what
We'll
was
get there. We'll
the
get there.
highlight. And you know what, guys? Lastly, Martin Keimer, got to shout him out. He made the cut. 68-72, 68-76. He filled his pants just like he's been filling his pants on the third round at live events, and the cleats. We gotta be better. Got to be better than that. Shout out to the Corebridge Financial Team, Braden Shattuck.
All right, TC,
Everybody
thank
up
you.
in
We knew you
Philly
were going
says
to bring
it's
it back
great.
to the cliques. Gentlemen, we're going
I
to get
did
to
laugh
the
really hard. I was in Norway and flipped on the live show for a second and saw TC referring to Martin Keimer as the captain, which was just, I thought, one of the better takes of the week.
Can we just real quick, Neil? I know these guys are doing their best to just institute a little bit of drama and decision making. What was up with CBS trying to like build this narrative that maybe guys were going to try to drive 13 that were in contention today? Like,
it would be a horrible decision.
What was that about? I mean, they're like, I don't even know if anybody even thought about this until did they see Toasty hit a 328-yard drive into a thimble? Does that change the decision making coming down the stretch? It's like, no, that was one of the worst setups imaginable. That would a truly, truly awful decision for anyone in contention to have tried to drive that green. I could not believe they were like seriously promoting that.
100%.
Real quick. Mea culpa, but I was on the right track. Rikuya Hoshino won the Qatar Masters earlier this year in February, and then he finished tied for second at the Australian PGA and the Australian Open. So that's who I was thinking of, guys. I wasn't pulling that shit out of thin air. Okay? That's been one of the hottest players in the world. There was both those solo second finishes were in 2023. So over the last, say, the running 6 months, he's been one of the hottest players in the world.
So we're gonna go from the hottest player in the world to the coldest moment of the week, and this is brought to you by Yeti. And I want to give a shout out to their new Roadie 32 wheel cooler. We had a few of these bad boys at the block party. Still plenty of beer left in those because the turnout was so bad. And I also want to shout out the Rambler. The 34 and 64 ounce new French presses. Deej, for a coffee man like you. They're getting in the coffee game.
Involve ourselves in that.
So you can find those on Yeti.com along with the rest of their selection. Randy, I'm going to go to you first. What's your coldest moment of the week?
My coldest moment is Xander's shot on 11. He had just bogeyed 10. The first crack in the armor. You know, I literally was like, oh my God, it's happening. This is the Xander we all know. And for him to step up on the tee on the par 3 11th and stick it to like 8 feet and roll in the birdie putt and immediately get that round back on the rails was super impressive. And honestly, a level of coldness that I did not know he possessed. Neil.
Love that. TC, what do you got?
I got the cop. Officer Gillis choosing to arrest the number one player in the world and doing so, you know, I guess he wasn't part of the kind of squad working the event. He was on duty and all this stuff. So that was cold, man. I give him credit. That was cold blooded.
You cold for that.
Solly?
I have to give it to our guy, Alejandro Tosti, who stepped up onto the 13th hole today. Well off the lead, hit 180 ball speed as he put one down the elevator shaft, landed on the green, and made the putt for eagle. We were live actually on ESPN Plus when this happened. Just a little bit of evidence of like, hey, maybe one day let's move a tee up and make guys think about this. Would have, add a little bit of variety into this setup, but have to give it to him. Playing Sunday golf, that means it means almost absolutely nothing when you're near dead last. And it vaulted him up the lead. He shot 3 under today and earned a few extra dollars. But that was the coldest moment of the day for sure. That was fantastic.
Can't believe the height he got on that drive too. And I mean, landed softly.
To be able to land a driver like that on an island green in a major championship, like what are we doing, guys?
Fantasia. So I had Colin's even par round, just very cold what he did to Randy's portfolio. But then I was hoping that he was going to par every hole because I thought that would just been a true ice cold round from Colin. But I don't know if you guys caught this, but there was a guy walking off 18. Xander's walking off the tee box, and this guy yells at him from the crowd, "You're done, Xander. You're done, buddy." And I was like, oh my God. I was like, he's gonna par this hole, go to a playoff and lose, and this guy's gonna be in his head. And I just thought, like, for somebody, like, it was so loud and clear to hear that. I thought that was one of the coldest shout outs from the crowd. Not that I condone it, but a very, very cold move from someone in the Ville, whoever you are out there. That's my coldest moment. DJ, maybe.
Might have been.
DJ, you got one. I know you were unprepared.
I was not. This was not on my agenda. I'm into the 7th inning of my save opportunity here. I didn't.
Sure. Yeah, we kept you around. I figured you would have said peace, but I figured
there was extra innings. Everybody.
Mason Miller. He's throwing gas.
You figure it out, man. Keep throwing.
So you got nothing.
No, I'll shout out the lady at the Wittero Airlines who lost my bag for 36 hours. She just could not have been colder when I asked. I'm like, do we know where it is? No. I'm like, oh, well,
you should have called me. I would have called the elite line for you.
I know.
I thought TC gave you a status.
No, we got your number. We'll call you if it turns up. Like, all right. So guys, I'll shout out to her.
When did it turn up?
It was like 36 hours or so.
Is that the one? Aren't there like 10 people on that plane?
Yeah, very small plane. No excuses. Wittero Airlines, you gotta do better. But we made it okay.
All right, gents, we're coming to the home stretch here. After what we saw this week, who do you have winning the U.S. Open?
Scotty.
The commercial load.
Anybody, rising up your big board?
Hovland.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's going to be a really good fit for him.
Yeah.
Iron play and not having to chip around the greens.
Like, it's going to be Scotty, but if it's not Scotty, I think, having Morikawa, Xander, but Morikawa and Hovland showing some signs of life is really fun. I think Bryson can blow driver around in a lot of spots out there as well.
It's so striking to me that you guys are immediately like Hovland. And obviously Scotty, that we'll set that aside, but nobody jumped and said like, oh, Xander. That's just very, I don't know, very telling,
right?
Doesn't have it. He just didn't have it, Neil. I don't know if he can do it.
What'd you say, Randy?
It's just tough to win 2 in a row. It just doesn't happen often at all. I think Brooks,
sometimes the greats do that.
It's tough. Yeah.
Well, right. I wonder if they look back at 2014 with Keimer kind of pulling out the cheat sheet and putting everywhere. If they look into maybe having a little bit hairier, those slopes are so dramatic around the greens at Pinehurst. I don't know if they need to be shaved completely tight to have the effect that they, if balls still repelling off the greens, kind of like Augusta, doesn't shave their fairways super tight, so they make you chip around the greens. I'm literally just thinking of this on the spot, but I'm just wondering. I don't know if Victor won't have to chip around Pinehurst.
Yeah,
Solly, sure. It's funny you say that. I was there last week, and it was Ben and I both noticed that it was a little shaggier. The putting from off the green was not quite the cheat code it has been in the past. So something to monitor for sure.
I truly like Tommy. I truly like Max for both of them. It's like, you got to shape the ball. You gotta hit your irons well. It's a ball striker's golf course. So
I see a comment here saying like, no, make it firm and fast. We're not talking about it not being firm and
Yeah.
fast. Like it almost certainly will be firm and fast at Pinehurst. The greens will be as rock hard as they can possibly get them. And the slopes are just that dramatic that they don't need to be shaved for balls to still roll off them. That was kind of the point there. So
Yeah.
anyways.
All
Guys,
right,
Mark
gents.
Flaherty just resigned from the PGA Tour board.
Really?
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, Mark. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, sure. All right. What we miss? Anything? Any parting thoughts from anybody?
What'd you guys think of A, our coverage, and then B, like just generally speaking, the media this week? I thought I was a little bit disappointed in Jeff Ogilvy. Just thought he was a little low energy. Which maybe that's just, A, he needs more reps, and B, like maybe it was just my expectations were out of whack. I feel like we've been clamoring for him for a while to be in the broadcast booth and, do it. And I just didn't feel like maybe he wasn't in a position to succeed, or he needed to be in a different chair or whatever. Van Pelt continues to be the man. I think Duval,
TC, just real quick on the Flaherty thing. Is that public info? Where is that?
that is on the PGA Tour website.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. Sorry.
TC, I think we said it on Friday. I just feel like ESPN did solid. Too many guys, too many cooks in the kitchen. A lot of voices going on early on the early coverage stuff. I thought CBS was good. I mean, they're injecting
It was
with
better than last year. It was better than the last couple of years of the PGA Championship. Like the commercial load was absolutely down.
Yes. If you remember back, Kiowa was a disaster. Like we were up in arms at Kiowa. That was just 3 years ago. And it was bad early on. It was a lot of commercials, but they actually front loaded, and the back half was like extremely doable. Some tough timings when you have that many guys on the course, but totally fine.
Things got easier for the telecast on the back nine when the three of those guys kind of separated. So you pretty much got every golf shot coming down the stretch from Bryson and Victor and Xander. But early in the front nine, it was like I didn't see a ton. It was a lot of golfers bunched at 8 guys around the lead.
It's a tough leaderboard to cover.
There's a
lot going on. I think also the it seemed like they had more integrated stuff into the broadcast with the T-Mobile, like the 4-box they had and all that, which I got no problem with that stuff. Keep doing it if that's what pays the bills and does less commercial breaks as well. I think on the ESPN side, something I want to shout out: Andy North, Curtis Strange, Billy Kratzert. Like those guys continue to bring the noise.
They're great.
I think I love listening to Curtis Strange.
I know. I wish we got more of them.
Yeah.
And just again, a big thanks to Omaha and ESPN for letting us do live television for the first time this year on Thursday, Friday on ESPN2, and getting to do the ESPN Plus coverage this weekend was just a ton of fun. I mean, it really takes things to line up really, really well for us to want to do something like that and to not get neutered and to be encouraged to be ourselves and just do the dumb stuff that we do. Like that was like really, really hard to align, and they could not have been better to work with. And we had so much fun doing it. So we appreciate the trust there. And everybody that tuned in and gave feedback and sent in questions, like that really helped keep shows moving when there was maybe the action was literally almost not going on as of Saturday morning, but a ton of fun. Hope to keep doing it, because that's like a dream come true kind of thing for us.
Thank you to Jimmy G, our producer on there, who's consummate professional, and we didn't cuss. We made it 4 days, 8 hours on live streaming and TV without dropping an F-bomb or saying shit or anything like that.
So definitely want to call out Nelly in a historic win. I know Randy, you, Cody, Tron will be doing an LPGA episode on Thursday, but anything you want to throw out there now?
No, she deserves her own episode, so we're going to record and we'll get that out later this week. I think that the stat everybody should know about Nelly, she's the second player after Lorena Ochoa in the last 70 years to win 6 times before June 1st in an LPGA season. So Lorena did it in 2008. Nelly has done it now. Only Luis Suggs in 1953 and Babe Zaharias in 1951. Those are the 4 that have ever done it. So really, really heady territory for Nelly.
That's
Love
amazing.
Love it. A couple other updates. We got KVV hard at work on a recap of this week's action. So check that out tomorrow over coffee, nolayingup.com. And yeah, if you enjoyed hanging out with us, consider joining the Nest. Just going to throw a little plug out there for the Nest, community of avid golfers. They help us maintain our independence as a media organization. Just a little added context there for everybody. That's important.
Context. ESPN in Omaha, we're paying us this week to be on camera. Just added context. Helpful.
Sure. But not nearly enough to stay in biz. Okay. So the Nest is, we value our Nest members big time. So you can learn more about the Nest at nolayingup.com/join. Gentlemen, I enjoyed it. Good stuff.
Can I leave
Props
you with
to Harry Higgs
Yeah.
for winning. I think that's awesome. And then also, I just wanted to call out, told Mark Flaherty and Patrick Cantlay teamed up together to win the 2022 Seminole Pro member. And I guess those two have been at each other's throats for the last 12 to 18 months in board meetings. So golf brings people together. Hate seeing a friendship fall apart like that, though.
Can I leave you guys with a little quote from our favorite YouTube content creator? This is Kyle Porter tweeted this out.
Mr. Beast.
A question went out, said, you had some really big moments out on the course this week worth celebrating. How have you kind of embraced being a true showman on the course and celebrating those big moments? Bryson DeChambeau said, yeah, it's actually funny. YouTube has helped me understand that a little bit more. When the moment comes, knowing what to do, what to say, how to act is really important. When I was younger, I didn't understand what it was. Yeah, I would have great celebrations and whatnot, but I didn't know what it meant and what I was doing necessarily for. Now I'm doing it a lot more for the fans and for the people around and trying to be a bit of an entertainer that plays good golf every once in a while. 100% Bryson practices his celebrations in the mirror. That's pretty much a confirmation.
Man, that makes me feel bad about my ServePro.
They were really good. They were
great. Yeah.
Chip in or the putt in on
nailed it.
Saturday was unreal. That double fist pump and the low fist pump.
It's all about process, man.
Broke the fourth wall, looked right into the camera after that. Said, let's go.
Smash that like button
down below. Let us know what you want to see in the comments.
All right, play us out, Neil.
We got Tour Sauce this week. Wednesday night, Tour Sauce.
Cody, we missed anything?
Big cans.